All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to 6 Tips at 6. My name is Pam Okeson. I'm a community engagement librarian with Porte County Public Library. And if you're watching on video, you can see that it looks like I'm sitting at the library when in fact I'm at home. This is a virtual background. But we just want to give you a friendly environment instead of a blank wall behind us. So there you go. We have assisting us today Susan Banwert, Community Engagement Manager. Susan, if you want to say hello real quick, she'll be assisting with any questions as we go along. So,
hello.
Hi, welcome, Ellen. All right, so today's 6 tips are all about using OverDrive. And if you've never used OverDrive before, this session will give you the initial 6 tips that you need to get started so that you can easily access eBooks and eAudiobooks in OverDrive. We're starting this session today assuming that you have a library card. That's step number 1. And if for some reason you do need help with a library card, you can give us a call at the library. We can always assist there, or send us a help email question and we will respond and give you some help. But with your library card, you can access almost everything you need or want from the Porte County Public Library. Real quick, for those of you who are joining us with Zoom, there's a chat in the bottom there of your screen. If you hit chat, you can enter questions there. It looks like everybody has found that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. And tip number 1 is where to get started with eBooks. Okay, so you'll want to navigate to laportelibrary.org. And I've got a little highlighter on my pointer here, so hopefully that'll make it easier for you to follow along. laportelibrary.org. If you're on a smaller screen, you might see the menu with 3 lines on the right-hand side. But when the menu, you want to navigate to Library Online and then Stream and Download. I'm going to open this in a new window. All right, here's where we land when we click on Stream and Download. If we scroll down just a little bit, there's a lot of information here about OverDrive and the associated Libby app. Before we navigate over to OverDrive, I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of helpful tips and tools here if you're using a mobile device and you need to get an app for Android, Apple, perhaps you're going to read on Kindle. There's a bunch of information available here. There's also a Learn button here. If you click on that, you'll find a tutorial that's available through the library's website to help you get some more information. And just in case you don't have a library card at all, we also have a link here for creating an online borrower's card. If you click on that, you can sign up for a library card. Okay, so we're going to click on this image and it will take us into the OverDrive website for the library. And the very first thing you would need to do is to sign on. I am already signed into my account here. I put my library card number and password in. I did that before we got started today. This is a little bit different for students. So at this point, I'm going to stop my share and have Susan show how students would access the OverDrive books. So Susan, if you want to take over.
Okay, hi everybody. All right, so I'm going to share this screen here. All right, so I will say that most student devices do not have the app. And so accessing the books is a little different for them. And so most students end up starting at the online catalog. So students can totally access eBooks from the library's online catalog. So I'm going to so what they would do would be to log in, and I'm just going to log in. I'm logging in with my daughter's account, and hopefully I typed everything right. I did, so good. So then I would simply just start by looking for the book I want. So this is what I observe at my house with my two 13-year-olds and my 10-year-old. So they have Chromebooks. They don't have the app on their Chromebook, but they need to read for AR. And since we're in an e-learning world now, and they can take AR tests from home, and they have requirements for their reading grade to be reading, and since we can't access the school library and we can't access the public library to get the physical books, we're doing eBooks. So we have our family book club starting tomorrow evening, and that title is New Kid. And that, that title is a simultaneous use title, so that's pretty handy. And so when I would look up, I can see that, for example, this title here is the physical book title, but, sorry, I'm having some mouse issues. But if I look that title up, I can see that I have the ebook available. So all I have to do now in the online catalog then is click to download it. And what I would do, since I'm a kiddo without the app, I'm just gonna read it right in my browser. So I think that's a big tip that not a lot of kids know, and not a lot of parents know, that they can totally access these books in this way. So I can just read this book right here in my browser on my Chromebook or a student device without having to have the app or anything like that. So the other thing I wanted to just say quickly would be that it will remember if I want to go back into I've opened up this menu, I didn't mean to, sorry. And find that book later because I need to go back to it. So then I'm just gonna go to the stream and download page, and I can just log into my account then in OverDrive with the same library card number and password as I just had. And yeah, and then I'm just going to go to my bookshelf. And I can see there's my book that I just checked out a few minutes ago. And I can read it again right in my browser. So I think that's pretty handy. And it even remembers right where I left off, because that was the page I was on when I was in the online catalog reading it from that place. It remembers right where I left off. So that, to me, is a big tip for students to know. So any student who goes to, I'm just going to randomly name the school corporations here, New Prairie, Michigan City, South Central, Westville Schools, LaPorte Community Schools, any student in any grade in any of those schools has a Libraries 360 account. That means they have a library card number and they have access to the online catalog and to borrow ebooks. And if they don't know their login information, they can either call the library or they can email us at Libraries360. Well, they can't email us because they can't send and receive, but they can call us or have their parents call us or email us at Libraries360 at laportelibrary.org. So those are my tips, Pam.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pick up where we left off and navigate to the OverDrive page as if that were where you were starting your search. So we talked about how you needed to be logged in. So tip number 2 is finding titles. There's a lot of different ways that you can look for titles. Once you land on the OverDrive page, you can just scroll down. There's some collections that are usually curated down here that you can look at. Here's a set of titles: Always Available Classics, Just Added. If you wanted to see even more, you could go up to the side here where it says See All and get a whole list of that collection. You'll notice that there are links to the kids catalog and the teens catalog right here. So those will be ways to discover. There are additional collections underneath collections here. So let's say maybe you just wanted eBooks or audiobooks. You could look at some of those collections there. Give me just a moment. All right. You can also explore under subjects, but there's one more tool right here for searching and finding titles, and that would be this little magnifying glass. It opens a little search box here. So I'm a fan of Jason Reynolds. I can click and find what titles the library has that are from Jason Reynolds. Okay, if you have any questions, please throw them in to the chat box, and Susan can interrupt and let me know when there's anything there that we need to answer. If at any time when you're navigating and you feel confused, you can always click on the banner up at the top. That will take you back to that home screen. Okay, so tip number 3 is how to check out a title. We're going to go ahead and use this as an example right here. The Big Library Read is a virtual book club title that Greg is leading an event on Thursday night of this week at 6 o'clock. If you want to join in, you might be able to read this title before then and join in on a book club discussion. You can see when you look at a title that it's available at the top with a little orange banner. If it weren't, it would say wait list up there. And we could borrow directly right here, but let's say you didn't know much about the title and you wanted to find out. You can click into the title and you have some options to learn more about the description of the title, even read a sample before you check it out. But checking out is super simple. You just click on borrow, almost the same as in the browser, the way Susan did just a bit ago. You click on borrow to confirm, and that title is now checked out to me. From here, we could go directly to read in the browser, but you could continue browsing. You could close this window and continue browsing on to some other things. Okay, next tip is how to read or listen. So let's say you finished browsing and you have everything that you want. In the app, it will say shelf. Here in OverDrive, you'll have this symbol for shelf. That's where you navigate to find the titles that you have checked out so you can start to read. So how do you read? You simply click on Read Now in Browser, and this is going to look a lot like what we saw earlier with the New Kid title. You can go to the right side of the screen and tap, and it will advance it forward and backwards. If you go to the left side, you can go back. And again, it's really great when you leave this reading environment and come back, it remembers exactly where you were. All right, let's see. My screen is hidden underneath, so I'm going to re-navigate back. Sorry about that. It gets underneath there. We have a toolbar at the top that kind of hides some stuff. I also wanted to show you what it looks like to listen in browser. I don't have my audio turned on for you, so you won't hear the title, but this is what it looks like if you have an audiobook checked out. You get an in-screen or on-screen control. You can move or advance with the dial at the bottom here. But basically, you just click on it to listen, and make sure your audio is turned on in your device and you can listen. Okay, so tip number 5, improving your reading or listening experience. I'm going to click right up here on the side while we're in this book just to show you that we have access to the chapters. We also have some tips and so on here. But if we wanted to, let me just bring this down so I can pop back over to the other title that we had open. I also wanted to show you how you can improve your reading experience in an ebook. If you tap in the middle of the screen, the same book that we were looking at before, you get some additional controls similar to what we saw with the audiobook. Up on the right-hand side here with the 3 lines, you have a menu. You also have access to your chapters here. But what's really handy for a lot of people is to be able to change those reading settings. So if you find that your font size is too small, you can scale your font size up a little bit and make some adjustments there so that you get a comfortable font size. If you find that the white screen is too bright for you, you have the option of changing that to sepia or even dark if you're in a really low light situation. And then you have options to change your the actual font that you're reading. So I change mine to paperback quite often. I really like that font setting. So you have a lot of different controls inside the ebook and the e-audiobook to enhance your reading experience. I wanted to show you one last tip. Number 6 is what happens when you find a title that is checked out. What you're going to see is right at the top of the title, it's going to say wait list, but you have the option to place a hold on that title and get in line for it. So let's say we want to read The Boy from the Woods. We simply can click on place a hold and it will place that hold for us and even tell us what our position is, number 10 on copy number 1. If there are multiple copies, it might tell you your number 5 on 3 copies, however many they are. But when the title becomes available for you to check out, you will get a notification. So let me show you what a notification looks like in this screen. I've got one here that's been hovering and waiting for us to discover. When you click on here, you will see that you have the option to borrow. This Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds is ready for me. If I had other items that I was working on reading or listening to, I could actually tell this to deliver later or cancel it altogether. Another way that you can see the holds that are ready for you would be to go to your bookshelf and click on holds. You'll see the same title. It says that it's ready to borrow. And then here's the hold that we just placed. If for some reason I needed to suspend it, there's a couple of options in here to control and customize your experience. This Night Watchman here is one that came when I was in the middle of reading something else, so I went ahead and delayed it for 7 days or 14 days perhaps, but now it's not going to deliver to me until after April 10. So I've got a little time to finish up. So those are our 6 tips tonight. Have we addressed all of the questions that folks have? Is there anything else we can help you with? All right, well, if not, thank you for joining us. Next week, we will have 6 tips on Tumble Books, and we hope to see you back and join us for some of the other online programs that we have.
There is, hey Pam, there is exciting news about Tumble Books that we just got this week. So
go for it.
Well, I hope people tune into it because there are some new features, and it's finally some good news about accessing Tumble Books. So that'll be some new news for next week too. So hope to see you all there, and please let others know who might be interested in knowing more about Tumble Books. We'll see you then.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.